Hello, and welcome back to a recap episode of Death Crew, the campaign that lasted the longest out of all of them. Today we're continuing after not the defeat, but after the combat encounter with Arthur's Sin. He finished the encounter by teleporting away. They don't know to where. They don't know if he went 20 feet. They don't know if he went 20 miles. They just know he got away. So they begin the process of determining where he went. So they start by asking, I think, the other gangs, the Flock, which is one of the only ones left, and they're like, well, we'll do some research, we'll do some odd jobs for us. So I don't remember what jobs they did, but I know they went down into the bowels again to a section of the city where people live in the bowels, but it's mostly used for storage, and the people who live down there aren't having a happy life. But they eventually, I don't remember where they were, but Octavian decides he wants a familiar. And not like a fine familiar spell, but he wants somewhat like a pet. So they get Gus Gus. Now, Gus Gus here is level 15 custom lineage wizard. Gus Gus eventually gets awakened, and they turn him into a powerful wizard. And he comes into play a lot. But to start with, he's just a normal mouse that lives inside Octavian's skull. Because, again, Octavian is an undead. And it was weird. It was always weird. But I believe they keep him. He comes along. They get the information they need and find out that Arthur Sin went to his home where he's originally from, called Osla, I believe. Now, I described Osla as a town of debauchery, of brothels, of gambling, stuff like that. And I'm like, they find out that's where he went. I believe he was a powerful enough magic user that he used the gate spell to teleport. Not gate, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. He teleported there. I don't remember which spell it was. But he teleported there, and now they know where to go. So they start gathering supplies. They get ready to board an airship and fly to Osla. It's going to take a while. Before they go, Octavian decides he wants to torture Kern some more. So he goes and visits him in the hospital. And Kern doesn't recognize him at first because he's wearing his mask and he's not disguised self. But Octavian basically he goes back to his skeletal form and intimidates Kern, like, you're gonna leave the city, you're never coming back, and we never want to see you. And Kern is like, yep, that's fine by me. Kern, who still has 2 broken legs and was thrown down the stairs, he's in the hospital. But eventually they make it to the dockyard a few days later. And again, they run into Kern, who's loading his luggage on a ship. I think Octavian bribes some of the porters and is like, hey, his luggage doesn't get on the ship. And that's not the last I see of Kern, but they really enjoyed torturing him quite a lot. But after they after that, they board the ship. They start heading on their way. It's going to take a number of days, so, I go through the travel right quickly. If there was anything they want to do, they do. And this is where Octavian starts feeding Gus Gus through his eye sockets. So he'll take if I remember correctly, they're in the galley and they're eating like porridge or something, and he takes a spoonful and shoves it in his eye. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't remember if everybody saw it. I think he rolled high enough that nobody saw it. But that becomes a recurring thing where he's feeding Gus Gus through his eye socket. But eventually they get pretty close to Osla, not like a few minutes away, but maybe a day or two, when in the middle of the night their ship is attacked. And I want to preface this. I have used the following scenario many times in my campaigns. Not once have any of my players ever taken the bait and rolled with it. Their ship gets attacked by an ancient black dragon and a young green dragon. The ancient black dragon acid breaths the crew, wiping them out. They come up and they fight the young dragon. Octavian, I believe, if I can look at his spells real quick, he used, he used a spell on him, on the green dragon. He used a spell on him to basically make him I think he pacified him enough that they could communicate. The black dragon came back. Octavian, Mars, and Hugo, and Gus Gus fled the ship with the help of the Green Dragon, who then, after landing in a forest, decided, okay, I helped you, but I'm going to leave now. But Octavian decided he was going to try and communicate with this dragon later, which comes up. But the whole point of this fight was to introduce the... I don't know if I want to tell it because I might use it. I am using it in one of my current campaigns, so I think I'll keep it a secret. But I've used this hook multiple times and no one's taken the hit. It's always been, oh, we're gonna go do this. So I'm like, okay. It's the same thing that happened with the Cult of the Maw. I introduce it, the players do it for a little bit, and they go off and do something else. I don't know if that's a tell on my game making, because they take the bait on other things, but for some reason this one just never locks on. But yeah, so they land in the forest. The forest, I believe, it's another thing I've used multiple times called the deep woods, where the trees are so tall and the canopy is so thick that no light gets down there, and it's equivalent like deep ocean. Like all the creatures are gigantic and weird looking, and I've used that multiple times, and that's varying effectiveness. Sometimes the players love it, sometimes the players are terrified of it, so on and so forth. But they eventually exit. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that, but no. The players either love the deep forest or are absolutely terrified by it. Like insects grow to be the size of like cars. There are deer the size of blue whales, stuff like that. But they eventually exit the forest, and they're a little ways off from Osla, but the ship crashed. They don't know where they are, so they have to go from there. And I believe that's where I ended that session. But yeah, they're still on their way to Osla. It had a nickname, and I cannot remember what it was, but it was something clever that I really wish I had remembered.